everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So there's some big new gun control laws that are going to be taking effect in California July 1st of 2022. So in just a couple months, and I want you guys to know what they are. So let's get to it. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to one of the sponsors of this channel, which is the USCCA. I've been a member for about 5 years now. It's easily one of the best memberships that you'll ever have, one of the most important cards that'll ever be in your wallet. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to defend yourself, all you have to do is simply call the number on the back of that card. They'll send you somebody to represent you, somebody to take care of everything, and they will make sure that they get you through that process so that you don't have to worry about it. So you get that self-defense liability insurance, the magazine sent out to you every month. You get the online resources, exclusive content, education. You get all sorts of great things like a reciprocity map. I'm telling you, it's one of the best memberships that you could ever get, so definitely check out the USCCA. Okay, so new California gun control laws that take effect July 1st of 2022. These are big ones. These are definitely ones that are going to have an effect in California. I remember when I lived in California thinking, what else could they possibly come up with? It seems like every single year they introduce, a couple dozen more. There's already something like 200 laws within this sphere that are on the books that really just cover the same thing but add on top of it. And they just seem to come up with more and more every single time. But these that we're going to be talking about today are pretty big ones, okay? So the first one that we're going to be talking about is microstamping. Yeah, the microstamping requirement is going to start on July 1st of 2022. Now, believe it or not, there was actually a bill that was introduced in the California Assembly. I think it's AB 1688, and that was a bill to have the microstamping requirement removed. However, it was introduced in January of 2022, and it seems like that's pretty much where it's stalled out right there. It doesn't seem like that's moved forward at all because they like it. I mean, they like the microstamping requirement. And basically what that is they want a microstamp somewhere on the inside and somewhere on the firing pin so that it leaves that imprint of, unique identifying markers like serial numbers and stuff like that. And they think that that's going to be, the end all. That's going to fill this big gap, and it's going to help them find people. When I've personally heard law enforcement that have worked in California for decades that say it's not really going to do anything because it's so easy to overcome. It's so easy to overcome for those people who want to overcome it. And so regardless of whether or not that's going to have an effect on what the effect that they want it to have in California, it's definitely going to have an effect on people who are law-abiding citizens of California, because it means that roster that you guys are so used to out there, it means that roster is just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And why is that? Well, because nobody's microstamping. Nobody's microstamping, and if it doesn't have a microstamp, it's not going to make it on the roster, and therefore the roster is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller every single year, because companies are going to stop making those models. Those models are going to fall off the roster, and there's not going to be anything else left there to replace them. So again, microstamping takes effect July 1st, 2022. Okay, so the other two things that are going to be taking effect in July of this year also involve the roster. I'm telling you right now, the roster is one of the worst things in California. I know a lot of people who, if they could just get rid of one thing, it would probably be the roster. That causes so many problems and so many headaches. But this is a couple other features that are going to be required in order to get on that roster, which really is kind of irrelevant, I guess, if you think about it, because without the microstamping, it's not making it on anyway. But still, if it doesn't have a magazine disconnect, which basically renders it inoperable without a magazine inserted, it won't make it on. And it also has to have a chamber flag. So without those two things, the magazine disconnect and the chamber flag, it will not be considered safe for use in the state of California, which means it's not going to end up on the roster. So you basically have three things now that are going to be impeding anything new actually making it onto that roster. So the microstamping, the disconnect, the chamber flag, all of which are going to be taking effect on July 1st. So it's just going to have future negative impacts on what people are allowed to actually see in that state. So it's just a huge problem, right? And so instead of making things that actually matter are going to stop anything, what they're doing is they're just adding on to existing laws to make it harder and harder and harder. And that's what these do. That's what these do starting July 1st. These are going to be taking effect. These were signed by the governor a long time ago, and they basically just gave people time to get ready for them to actually take effect and be in effect. And so now we're seeing that come to fruition. And so the people of the state of California, it's absolutely terrible. And just like I know a lot of you think, if there was one thing I could get rid of myself as well, well. Like the first thing, obviously we would go for everything, a clean sweep, get rid of it all. But if there's one thing we could get rid of altogether, it would be that roster, and it's for reasons like this. So just be aware, those are some of the changes coming in July for California. Thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.